Good morning. My name is Jasmine Harvey, and I am the Student Engagement Specialist here at Mississippi Public Broadcasting. On behalf of MPB Education Department, we would like to welcome you all to Workforce Wednesday. We would love to know who is joining us today, so please use the chat feature to let us know who you are and what organization you represent. You may also use the chat feature to ask any question during the presentation. Before I introduce our guest speaker, I want to give a quick overview of our workforce initiative. In 2018, MPB received a 2-year grant from the Corporation for Public Broadcasting to create a workforce development initiative. Our initiative, Getting to Work Mississippi, which focuses on advancing education and career readiness. We work with partners to assess challenges and opportunities and produce videos focused on career pathways and the essential skills needed to be successful. We highlighted careers in these 5 key industry sectors: energy, manufacturing, healthcare, information technology, and logistics. Through this initiative, we learn not only are students not fully aware of career paths available to them, but they are also lacking those necessary soft skills to be successful. So we produced a fun soft skills video series addressing the do's and don'ts in the workplace. Also out of our initiative, Workforce Wednesday was born. These meetings are hosted every third Wednesday of the month, and we are glad you all have joined us today. All videos and registration for Workforce Wednesday are available on our website at education.mpbonline.org. And don't worry, I will be sure to add this in our chat feature. Now it's time to introduce our guest speaker for today. Today's guest speaker is Mark Arancibia. Before joining Oakview Group, Arancibia was the interim general manager for the Las Cruces Convention Centers in the Las Cruces, New Mexico. Prior to that, he was vice president of operations and assistant general manager for the LAFC Bank of California Stadium. Arancibia was assistant general manager of the Tucson Convention Center in Tucson, Arizona from 2015 through 2019. He also spent 3 years as the director of operations for the Urban Convention Center in Irving, Texas. Arancibia received his training at Venue Management School at Ogle Bay 2014 to 2015, his master's in education from Tennessee State University, and a bachelor's degree in program management from Illinois State University. Let's welcome our guest speaker, Mark Arancibia.
Hey everyone, thanks for having me today. I'm glad to be here to talk about customer service. I think that just kind of get right into it. I think customer service has become somewhat of a lost art in everything that we do. I think specifically in the hospitality industry, which is where I focus on. However, I think I see it really all over the place. But so hopefully today we can just I can share some examples of some things that we look for in our industry. And I think that will help people in general in any industry as far as how you move through it and you deal with customer service. I think the big thing that people hear, they talk about when you talk about customer service is the golden rule, right? It's treat others as you would like to be treated. But to be honest, I think I even look beyond that because everyone is different. And so I read something once that kind of made me think this is more in line with the concept of not so much how do you want to be treated, but how would you treat your family members? Or so if you're working in a position and you're dealing with someone, imagine that they're a relative, your mother, your grandmother. But I saw a meme and it basically was talking about driving. And it said something along the lines of, if you've never driven in snow, that imagine you're taking your grandmother to church and there is a platter of biscuits and gravy, 2 glass jars of sweet tea, and your grandmother's wearing a brand new dress. And so it's the same concept, right? So treat others as you would want your people to treat your family, or if you were talking to your grandmother or your mother, how would you treat them? So I think that's the first thing, is think about it from that perspective. Um, and the other thing is, think of it as building relationships. So if you want to be successful in any career, relationship building is probably the most important aspect of it. And so thinking of it, anytime you're dealing with someone in any situation, and that's what we talk about here at the convention complex, is it's a one-on-one relationship opportunity. And so you hope to bring people back as repeat customers. And so to do that, you have to build that relationship. So how you talk to people, how you work with them, how you put yourself in their shoes is really, really important. The other aspect too, we try as a team to instill in everyone that works for us, is this concept of, if it's not broke, break it. And I like to use random sayings that people hear, but a little bit different. So I'm sure most of you've heard before, if it's not broke, don't fix it. But it's actually the opposite. So think about how many times that you've been in a job or in school or at home, and you might ask the question, why are we doing it this way? Or why does it have to be done like that? And what's the response that you get? It's, we've always done it that way and everything is fine. And personally, I feel like that is probably the biggest issue that holds most of us back in everything that we do, is because we think that we're doing fine. We think that everything is good. And, maybe there hasn't been some disaster that happened, but it could always be better. And so when I was graduating from college, I went and heard a gentleman speak, and that's what he talked about. He talked about, if it's not broke, break it. You should constantly be evaluating everything you do. And customer service is an opportunity to do that. Is every time you interact with someone, replay it in your head. What could I have done differently? What could I have done better? How could I have made this situation better for the customer? And so, again, that concept of, it's not broke, break it, is really helped me throughout my career as I've moved from position to position. I think the other thing to consider and to think about is providing experiences for people. I think in the hospitality industry, that's what we really focus on. We focus on, we're working when other people are having leisure time. And so we're trying to provide an experience for those people. And so I would, encourage you to think about times in your life where you've been in an event, or a sporting event, a concert, a music event, something, anything, and what kind of experience did you have? And was it positive or was it negative? And if it was negative, was it because somebody did, whether it was the person selling the tickets who didn't give you certain information, or the people taking your tickets who didn't smile at you as you come in, or the usher that was in your section that did or didn't interact with you. And so the little things make the difference. The smile, the question. I know when I was in Arizona, we used to tell our ushers, if you're working a concert and you want to dance to the music, dance to the music. Interact with the people around you. It's those personal things that make the difference. And so we really encourage people to keep that in mind and have a good time. And ultimately, if you're having a good time, that will translate into your relationships and your interactions with everyone that you're with. And that will create a wonderful customer service experience and a great culture for you and the people that you work with. And so it's just so important. And especially now, there's a lot of competition for employees and people to come to your activities. And so think about, you want to have fun when you're at work, and having fun. If you have a frown on your face, or you're being short with people, that's not fun for anybody. And so we try to give people the flexibility to live in a zone where they feel they can have a good time and have fun with people. And so that's really probably the biggest skill set that we try to get with folks is do they like to have a good time? Do they like to have fun? Do they know how to interact and engage people? So those are things. I think being proactive is important. So try to think ahead, try to be one step ahead of the situation. Um, some examples in our industry is that, if you know that there's HVAC, the air conditioning, heating issues, that you communicate with the client and you tell them, or the people, you put signs up for folks. Nowadays with social media, you can put information out there. I remember before social media, some of you may or may not remember that, but we had an NCAA tournament in Nashville when I was there. And the last minute, the NCAA decided that they wanted to pat everybody down as they came into the games. And so when people got to the doors to come in, they were delayed and they were upset. That was an opportunity to be successful and communicate that to people. There were so many things we could have done, sending people out to the outside and with bullhorns and announcing to people. There are different ways we could have communicated. Nowadays, you can put stuff out on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter. Those are the kind of things. So try to anticipate problems, be proactive, and solve them for folks. Talk about communication. Again, things happen, and things are never going to go the way you plan. And in our business, what we tell people is that the next time an event happens and nothing goes wrong, it'll be the first. And so be prepared for that, understand it, and don't get worked up, don't get stressed out. It's fine. But when that does happen, you communicate to people. And if people just say, here's the situation, and here's what's going to happen, here's how we're going to fix it, then it's great and everybody's fine. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be good. And so when you start looking at those skill sets that people need, it's flexibility, it's being proactive, it's having a good time. And those may not even sound like skill sets, but you would be surprised how many people can't do those things. They don't know how, or they don't feel comfortable. And so, those are the aspects that we really focus on. And I think most people, and I would challenge you all to think about, when you hear the word mistake or problem, the first thing that comes to your mind is probably a negative thought. And I would say that probably most of the supervisors you've had have probably looked at it in the same way. And that's not how we look at it in our business. We look at mistakes and problems as a good thing, because mistakes are how you learn. It's how you get better. And problems are opportunities for success, because you think about people who have been lifted into situations where they've been had positive reactions or done well for their career, personal life. It's because they went through some adverse situation and they handled it in a great way. And so that's an opportunity for you as an individual to show the people around you how good you are at what you do and how capable you are at doing things that maybe they didn't know you could do. And so it opens up opportunity. And so we really focus on all of our staff to tell them making a mistake is not a bad thing, as long as you learn from it. And then the next time you can do it even better. And so those are things that we really focus on with our employees. I think the other part too, and again, this is going to be one of those things that you hear a lot, especially in the customer service world, is the customer is always right. And if I was looking at everyone in the room and I would ask you to raise your hand of how many people heard that, I'm sure you would all raise your hand and say, yes, I've heard that. And some may believe that that's a true statement. I would actually say that that's not entirely the case. I think the customer is not always right, but it's our job to always try to make the customer happy. And that may not be possible, but it still means you're trying to do it, and it still means you're interacting with them in a positive way. And so I think I tell my folks is that we try to do what we can for the customer, as long as it's not illegal, immoral, or dangerous. And if we can't do what the customer wants, we come up with alternatives. And this is what we can do, and here's why we can't do necessarily what you want, but here's what we can try to do to make it better. And you keep emotion out of it, and it is what it is, and move on. And again, 9 times out of 10, people appreciate that. I can share a personal example of a customer service situation that happened recently for me, that the communication part of it would have made all the difference, and eventually it did. And so, right now the country's going through a major issue with shipping. UPS, FedEx, Postal Service. You send something and it's supposed to come 2 days and it shows up a week later. Again, if I was looking at all of you, I would ask for you to raise your hand, and most people would probably raise their hand and say that, yeah, I had an issue. And so I had ordered something, and it was supposed to be delivered by FedEx on a Thursday, and then it got pushed to Friday, and then it got pushed to Saturday. And on my little tracker, because you have the trackers on your phones, it said out for delivery, and it was in Pearl, and so it was out for delivery. And this was at maybe 10 o'clock in the morning. And so around 3, I just happened to look at it, and it said in transit to Tallahassee, Florida. And I was like, wait a minute, that makes no sense. Why would it go to Tallahassee, Florida? It's supposed to be in Mississippi. And so I called, and I got somebody. It was about 3 o'clock on a Saturday, and I explained it to them. And they said to me that, well, it was a sorting error. We'll send a note to the station. They'll pull it off the truck, and it'll get rerouted and delivered tomorrow, which was a Sunday. I said, oh, on a Sunday? Oh, yeah, they have people working. I said, okay, well, are they going to actually see the note? Oh, yeah, people, they'll see it because they get notifications, et cetera, et cetera. We're good, fine. So Sunday comes, and of course, as most of you probably already know, in your heads, you're saying there's no way it would have been delivered. It wasn't, and it still said, en route to Tallahassee. And so I called again the 800 number, and they basically told me there's nothing they could do. They had no more information. They'll call on Monday. Again, the same person, or another person, same story. They really can't give me information, but they'll escalate it, and someone will call me back. And I said, well, they said they escalated it on Saturday, and that all basically same story. And again, nothing I can do. So finally on Wednesday, I got somebody, and the lady was super nice, very apologetic. And she just said, look, the reality of the situation is we're super short staffed. They've got us, I am not even in this department, and I'm tracking down lost packages and reroutes. And, I apologize. I'm looking at it. Here's the status of it. It should be delivered on Thursday. If it's not out on the truck on Thursday, I will call you to let you know. And that made me feel better. And it turned a really negative situation into a positive. And so it did end up showing up on Thursday, and she called anyway, just to say, hope that you got your package. And so when I talk about the little things, and you talk about, something that you may think is insignificant can make all the difference in the world to people, that is the example. So she didn't have to call me and ask if I got the package, because I did, and she knew that I did because she could see in the system. But she took that one extra step, took 35, 45 seconds out of her day to pick up the phone, dial my number, and just ask me if I got the package. And I did, and it made me feel better about that situation. And so those are the things that I would encourage each of you to do and to think about is what's the extra step that you could take with someone to make it that much better. The last thing I will kind of talk about is when you talk about customer service in general, I think the two big companies that you hear about are Ritz-Carlton and Chick-Fil-A. And Ritz-Carlton, I haven't stayed there, but I have friends who have, and they talk about how if they go to one Ritz-Carlton and there's some specific thing that they tell them that they like their pillows a certain way or a certain type, and which I never get that detailed, but that the next hotel they go to, they know all about their preferences. They call them by first name. They know them. So the hotel company does a really great job of sharing information with their brother and sister hotels, and all of the folks do the same thing. And so they know about things coming in, people and situations prior to them coming in. And so that's really amazing that people can do that. So I think that those are the things that I would tell you to do. And what not to do is don't be impersonal. Don't be short with people. Um, I had somebody, one time, tell someone that they couldn't come in for an event because they needed a day off. And I mean, those are the things that you don't say to people, because that does not fit in the line of of trying to be personable, building relationships, and trying to make the customer happy. So it's our job to do that. And so that those are the kind of things that I would say that you don't do, and versus the do's of, like I said, building relationships, communicating, being proactive, and just doing the little things. The little things are what get you. So in a nutshell, that is my take on customer service and being successful, not only in the hospitality industry, but in any industry that you're in. If you follow those things, 99.9% of the time, you are going to have an outcome that is positive for both you and the customer.
Mark, thank you for that great presentation on the importance of providing good customer service. I do have a couple of questions in the chat feature, and if anybody else has additional questions, you can go ahead and type those in the chat now. So the first question, let's see. How would you suggest dealing with bad customer service? So when do you walk away and say nothing? And when do you say, hey, I need to speak to the manager?
Yeah, I think, for me, if I'm a patron coming into a situation and I'm experiencing bad customer service, I don't let it go too far. And so, I try to be logical in my conversations with people, and just say, here's my situation. I need some sort of solution. I need an update. So I'm looking, like I mentioned earlier, about trying to come up with solutions for people. And here's the situation. If I'm not getting that, then I will just say, I need to speak to a supervisor. I need to speak to someone else, because you're not giving me anything other than I can't help you and there's nothing we can do. And that's never acceptable in any situation. So that's when I go from a patron standpoint. I think from the other side of it, if I see an employee doing that, it's something that we talk about immediately, and again, we go through it as why we don't want to do X, Y, or Z.
I think we can all relate to all of that, being on either side. The next question is, what do you think will change about customer service because of COVID?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. I think, COVID, how it's impacting everything that we do is still kind of up in the air. And I think, you know, I almost feel like people are being nicer now than they were before, simply because of, being isolated from everyone really starts to make you reevaluate kind of everything that you do. And now I've seen, and across the industry and across different industries, that now that we're back and we're interacting with people, that our attitudes and our feelings are completely different. And so people are much nicer and willing. And it's funny, in fact, I was at the post office yesterday here in town, and there was one guy behind the counter, right, which is typically how it goes. There's always one person there, and there was a line of people, and the guy was just, every couple of minutes, I apologize for the delay, I'll be right with you, thanks for being here. It was really like, I thought, where am I? This is not the post office. This is not how their customer service works. And there was one person in the office, and she was on the phone, and normally they would never come out and help. And then she actually got off the phone and came out and helped. And so it was just, and then as we left, here's our survey, please take it, let us know how we can do better. And so, yeah, I've actually seen it in a positive way, that people seem to be more aware of it. And so I was really surprised by that.
Good point. I think you're right. I've seen that too in a few places I've gone, and so it's nice to see that. Another question we have is, where is the best place to get customer service training for employees aside from Chick-fil-A?
Yeah, it's funny. I think that it depends on what you want to do. I think if you're a company looking to do customer service training, I guess it would depend on your budget. If you want to bring somebody in to do training for you, you've got different groups that do it. Disney does a great training. Of course, Ritz-Carlton does a really good training program. There are some other groups like Zappos and that have some customer service training programs. If you're just a person, an individual, and you want to, learn better customer service training, a good way to do it is to go, you learn by example, right? At least for me, I'm better. I'm not really that great about sitting in a classroom and having someone talk to me. I'm more about, I want to do it. I want to see it. And so I would encourage people to go to places that do those things and be treated on yourself, like see what it feels like to be treated XYZ way, and take those skills and use them in your own life and evaluate them. Like I talked about, don't break. If it's not broke, break it. Break your own idea of how you deal with people. And so go to Chick-fil-A and interact with their employees, or go to a Disney World, or go to a Ritz-Carlton, or go to some of these places that have really good customer service, and just watch what they do and pay attention to it. And I'm sure, I'm new to town. I've only been here for a few months. And so I don't have specifics on every place in town, but think about places here in Jackson and the surrounding community that you go to that you're just amazed at their level of customer service, and just learn from them. That's the easiest and cheapest way to do it.
Absolutely. Learning by experience is always helpful. One of our partners is on the call, Cindy Gooden. She's with Mississippi Community College Board, and she made a great point in the chat that Goodwill Industries and Holmes Community College have started a customer service employment academy in Ridgeland, Mississippi. And if anybody is interested in learning more about that, you can contact Vicki Burton at Goodwill. And that is all in the chat if you want to see that. Another one of our participants has said she didn't have any questions, but while she wanted to make this point, while the words out of your mouth may be cordial, your body language can tell another story, and the customer can sense if you are irritated. And we've probably all seen that as well. I have another question. What steps should be taken across the board if you have half of your employees that display really good customer service and then the other half maybe not so great? What steps would you take?
That's a great question. I think, in the past, there's a couple different things that we've tried to do. I think sometimes people are really even unaware that they're doing it. And so, it's kind of that first step of the process is admitting you have a problem. So it's a conversation with people about, what the situation is and what's going on, and are you enjoying, you look like you're not having fun. And in our world, that's kind of the first step in that conversation, because whoever mentioned the comment about body language, that is 100% accurate. And so in our trainings, what we do, we actually have pictures that we present in our training slides that show, here is an employee, and this is what a friendly employee looks like versus one that doesn't. And it's how you stand. If you're standing like this, or if you're open. We talk a lot about that. And so, and we focus, like I said, on the fun part. And so we'll ask people, hey, it seems like you're having a good time. What's going on? What's the situation? We had situations too in the past where we had a group of folks who weren't providing good customer service. And when we talked with them, they really didn't know what good customer service looked like because they never had it themselves. And so we would do exercises where we would be kind of role playing where they're the customer, and we would use people who are our management team, or, like you mentioned, part of the other folks who were doing a good job, and they would go through a scenario and they would see what you would display what the positive behaviors are. And so doing that helps. And I think trying to figure out, I mean, everyone responds differently to different things. And I taught, high school for 6 years, and I learned while I was doing that, everyone learns differently. And so you have to figure out those employees who are not following what you're trying to do, the culture you're trying to do. Why is it? Is it because they don't understand, they don't get it? Or is it just because they're not interested? If they're not interested, then, again, it's a conversation of, look, we're having a good time here. We're building a culture here. We want you to be a part of this. And if you don't, then that's fine. It's nothing personal. Then, if you're not having fun, then let's try to find something that you will have fun with. So, being open, communicating, showing people what it is about. And I think when you build that culture in your whatever organization you work for, those folks will get everyone else in line without you as a manager having to do really anything, because people typically will start to emulate the majority of the behavior that's going on around them. And so those are things that we've done in the past that for the most part works. And occasionally, you get scenarios where it doesn't, and you have to make a change. But yeah, no, that's worked out pretty well for us in the past.
That's great. Thank you. I think it's so important to build that culture, where people realize, model good behavior, customer service, others will pick up on that as well. So I love that. I have another couple of questions. Can you talk about internal customer service within a business or organization? What does that look like?
I guess you're talking about like with customer service to your fellow coworkers.
Fellow colleague, that's right.
Yeah. I think again, it's not really that different than what you do with patrons. I think it's respecting people and communicating with people. And what I try to focus with my teams is, don't be afraid to have conversations with people, ask questions. Don't take things personal, because again, I like to use the term 9 times out of 10. Somebody says something, they didn't mean it in the way that you may have taken it. And so, asking the question to somebody like, hey, you said this earlier and that really hurt my feelings, or this, I didn't, this is how I took it, and talking through it. I can't tell you how many times that's happened. And my employees have talked through it. And at the end of the day, they became really good friends, and everything worked out, and it was great. So, for us, it's the same approach, internal or external. I think the only difference internally that makes it a little bit challenging for us in this industry is that we spend so much time together, because our industry is we work long hours, weekends, nights, holidays. It almost becomes like a family. And those of you that have families and you spend time with them, and think about, sometimes you get very frustrated with them and you might blow up on them. At the end of the day, you still love them and they're still your family and everything, but you have those moments. And so that happens at times in our industry because of that. And then it's just, again, talking through it. It's not a personal thing. It was, bad day. We've been together for, 5 days in a row at 14 hours a day. I want to go home and relax. And so it's challenging from that perspective. But yeah, no, I mean, that's kind of the challenges and the perspectives that we take.
Absolutely. So we want to know, has the Jackson Convention Complex opened back up to host any events? And if so, is social distancing, is that an issue about the number of people that can attend?
Yeah, so we have opened up. I mean, we've been open since I got here. The building's been open. There have just been some different restrictions put in place over that time frame. At this point, pretty much everything has been lifted short of the mask mandate, but we still, encourage people to consider taking steps to make themselves and their patrons comfortable. So we still have signs, that talk about trying to keep your distance and wear your mask. And if you don't feel well, don't come in, and wash your hands. And we have hand sanitizer stations, and we talk with groups about how they want to set up their events. Like I kind of mentioned before, we were talking earlier today about, if you come in the way we've been approaching it is kind of like in groups or pods of people. And so if you're coming in and having a banquet, let's say, and you're selling a table to a group of people, having 10 people at a table is probably okay because those people are coming together and they're usually together anyway. But if you came as an individual, it's probably not good customer service or not a good idea to sit them at a table with 9 strangers under the current dynamic, even though restrictions are being lifted and people are being vaccinated. That's not really, it's kind of irrelevant. It really is more about what is good for your customer and what is good for your brand. And so if you feel that your customers are going to be uncomfortable in that situation, then you have to adjust. And so we might do a round of 4, a round of 6. So then people can distance a little bit better. So, but normally our tables for food functions are 6 feet apart anyway. So we were already doing that. So, but yeah, for the most part, we are open, 100% open. We're doing events, and the social distancing stuff is really on. I mean, we're encouraging people to do it and consider it, and we're looking at every event on a case by case basis and taking safety precaution steps that will work for everyone.
Great. Looks like my last question is, do you think incentives could boost customer service outcomes?
Yeah, no, I think incentive programs do work. I think, the only thing I would say about that is you have to be careful with what you do, because then people tend to, it becomes almost a negative impact, because then people start, fighting over different things, and it can create kind of a negative aspect if everybody wants gifts all the time and stuff like that. But yeah, we had a customer service program in Tucson that it was kind of mirrored after the Lego movie about everyone together, everyone's kind of a team, that whole team atmosphere. And so it was everything is awesome, right? That everything is awesome when you're part of a team. And so we had these little Lego pieces that were like lapel pins that we gave everybody to wear on their shirts. And then anytime that we saw anyone doing something above and beyond or great, we would give them an actual Lego piece. So you'd walk around the office and people would have these pieces of Legos and they would kind of build stuff out of them and do whatnot. And so it kind of became, it was a pretty cool thing. And then it got a little bit weird because then people started like combining their Lego pieces by department and building something bigger. And it kind of became a competition of who's got more Legos. But yeah, no, I've seen it. In LA, we did one called Wings of Service, and we gave out little poker chips every time someone did something that we saw as a kind of a above and beyond item, or we thought someone was doing a great job, and they would put them in a bin. And at the end of each month, they could we would do prizes, and so it might be like a jersey or a PlayStation or something like that. So yeah, I've seen it work. I think it depends on number of staff you have. It depends on what the culture is that you have. There's a lot of variables that go into it, but yes, I've seen incentives do well for customer service items. Yes.
The Legos sound really fun to me. I like that idea. Mark, that's all the questions that I see in the chat. Thank you so much for a great presentation. And everybody stay tuned because Jermaine is about to come on and she's got some door prizes.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Mark, once again, thank you for your presentation. I love the Lego idea myself. I am a Lego fanatic. So I could just see me getting everybody together trying to build one big Lego block, but that would be great for customer service, retention and initiation at least. But okay, so here is the door prizes. My hand actually slipped and I hit enter and I was like, door prize winners, email me. And somebody's like, how do we know if we won? This is the time. So excuse my finger slip on that, but I am going to ask Jasmine Harvey to assist me with this. And Jasmine, what we're going to do is pick a number between 1 and 10. And before you do, this is going to be our door prizes, everybody. We're promoting the customer service aspect. So we have these handy dandy stationary portable kits for you that includes like a journal, a pen, some binder clips, and some paper clips, as well as a coordinating Mississippi Public Broadcasting water bottle. So they'll come in red, blue, and black for these prizes. The first one is going to be the red one. Jasmine, go ahead and choose that number for me.
I'm going to choose 7.
Number 7, Cindy Gooden. Cindy, you have won the red pack. If you want to claim your prize, make sure you email me and send me your mailing address, and we can send those to P.O. boxes as well, to that email that's listed on the screen. Jasmine, go ahead and do that next number for me. This is going to be for the blue version of it. And Jasmine, go ahead and do another number 1 through 10, just not 7.
Number 10.
Number 10 is going to be Paula Nelson. Paula, you have won the blue door prize kit. So make sure that you send that to me, your mailing address to my email. And then last one, number 1 through 10, Jasmine. This is for the black set.
Number 5.
Number 5, my winner is Renetta Johnson. Renetta, you have won that prize. So make sure you send your good mailing address to my email. Again, that's going to be jermaine.flood@mpbonline.org. Those prize kits will have a couple of few extra little goodies in it I'm going to throw in there for you. So up next is going to be our announcement. So congratulations to all my door prize winners. I hope you enjoy everything that I send you. So for our announcements, first up, we are celebrating our second virtual Summer Learning Family Fun Days. This is going to be a great event. We want you to get ready to power up for some family learning and fun on June 21st through June 23rd, 2021. Now, for more information about this event, you can visit education.mpbonline.org. That's going to be a good event. Make sure you all come to that. The next Workforce Wednesday, that's going to be next month, June 16th. The topic is going to be job status in Mississippi. Presenter is going to be Mary Powers, of Central Mississippi Planning and Development District. So we cannot wait for you all to join us for that next Workforce Wednesday. So make sure you go out there, Eventbrite, and sign up for that. And then lastly, if you have missed a Workforce Wednesday, we want to make sure that you get in the know with the ones that maybe you missed. So if you missed any of those, no worries. They are all available on our website. That's gettingtowork.mpbonline.org to view all of the past ones. And then to learn more about us, visit Education's website, social media handles, and we just want to thank you all for joining us today. We look forward to seeing you all next time and at all of our events, and we just thank you all for joining us again for this Workforce Wednesday. We hope everybody has a great afternoon. Bye-bye, y'all.